You are listening to the Parts Pros podcast, the only podcast made specifically for automotive parts professionals. We're here to dive into the latest industry trends, expert strategies, and real-world solutions to drive success and boost your parts department bottom line. Hi, I'm your host, Amanda. I'm an automotive marketing expert with more than a decade of experience helping dealerships drive growth in the ever-evolving digital landscape. Today, we have kind of a special episode given everything that's happening in the world and the automotive industry with recent regulations and tariffs coming down. So I have two guests today, and we are specifically going to talk on that topic. My first guest, Emily, she is a marketing guru from our official podcast sponsor, Revolution Parts, and she is actually in the content creation space. So she works specifically with automotive dealers and aftermarket professionals, working on creating content around, automotive industry. And right now, these tariffs. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Amanda. I'm excited to dig into a hot button topic today with one of the most knowledgeable guests we've ever had.
Absolutely. And that is the next person I want to introduce, Tully Williams. He is the FixedOps director at the Niello Company. The Niello Company has been in business for 104 years, owning both the oldest Audi and Porsche dealerships in the United States. So they've been around for a little while. They've got a little bit of experience, but Tully himself, more than 40 years in the fixed ops business. So I would say that Tully's got some unique experience in this space and probably the most experienced and educated and well-versed in the fixed ops space individual we've had on the podcast so far. Tully, thank you so much for being here.
Well, that was a great entry. I mean, I'm holy mackerel. I feel like I'm really old and supposed to be really smart. So let's see if I can make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, today we are diving into major industry shakeups, tariffs. We are talking starting April of this year, 25% tariff on imported vehicles. And in May, critical auto parts tariffs as well, upwards of 35% in many cases. This could affect more than half of the vehicles sold in the US and send ripple effects through the entire parts supply chain. So this is a big talking point, and the reason why we are talking about this today is because it's going to impact dealers, it's going to impact manufacturers, it's going to impact parts departments, and what it means for inventory, pricing, and your bottom line. All things that I think everybody here is thinking about, talking about, and really concerned about going into the next couple of months. So let's get started. Tully, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe give us your just immediate take on everything that is happening right now.
Well, thank you so much. Tully Williams, been in the business, as you said, 40 years. Fixed ops director here at the Niello Company for the last 8 years. And my slogan line is it's all about the hours. And and the nice thing about parts is parts drives those hours sales. So, and then when you look at tariffs, that's a big hot button today. I'm not really worried about tariffs. The one thing about the automotive industry is we adapt quickly. We've had so much drama in automotive, and we adapt quickly. Now, yes, 25% surcharge on all parts. Ouch, that's a big deal. But the issue is that we're going to make it happen. We're going to educate our customers, right? Because we're in the repeat referral business. That's the business that we truly are in. And here's the deal. Cars got to be fixed, right? And people don't want parts. They want OEM parts, right? So they're going to bring a Porsche in or a BMW to our store. Guess what? We're going to put the BMW part on there. Is it going to be a little bit more expensive? Yes, but we can explain the reasons why. And if we have great CSI and great retention, I feel that we're not going to have any suffering.
Tully, that's all of that are great points. I think the big concern for a lot of dealers right now and the people that we're talking to is they don't want to get involved in e-commerce and they don't want to get involved in any new avenues of trying to make money because they're worried it's going to cost them money. And so they're saying we are cutting costs everywhere we can because we're going to stop making money. How would you respond to dealers that are saying that?
That's a bunch of bull. Here's the thing is that, I'm going to look at it this way here is that, we're in the revenue generating business. So here's the thing, in a dealership, what do we sell? Four things. We sell cars, F&I products, hours, and parts. So our goal is if we sell a part on a repair order, or we sell a part over the counter, or we sell a part online, it's a parts sales. And if you in the automotive space, selling parts is a big deal because manufacturers have goals for us that we get bonus money on. So our goal is to sell parts. Here's the deal. OEMs don't care how much you sell it for. They just want you to buy it from them. So our goal is that I think also customers want OEM products. They don't want to have an aftermarket product. They want to have an OEM product, and they can make the choice of what they want. And then, of course, there's a lot of things that are OEM only. And a lot of people like to do it at home, do it themselves. That's where e-commerce comes in, because a lot of times we miss out on that as a dealership. Well, you're just going to go down to the aftermarket place to buy it. Well, no, a lot of people want to buy OEM products. And here's the thing, dealers don't have the way to market that. And that's where Revolutionary Parts helps us in that scenario, where we can sell parts not only to our market, but holy mackerel, to the world. Really, right? And our goal is to have those market, have those prices, have everything there for them to see. Now, yes, prices are going to go up. It went up for everybody. It's not like we're the only ones not going up. So the issue is that it's irrelevant. The part is, are you selling parts online? Is that part of your revenue stream for the parts department? And the answer is, if you're not in it, you're crazy.
Well put. I mean, you said it. Manufacturers care about you selling their parts. And what better way than to get online and sell your parts to a national and sometimes even global audience?
100%. And it's funny as you look at it, we're not really selling a lot of times to our market. The market's going to come to our back counter, or they're going to call us, or we're going to mail it to them. But the issue is we're selling to Texas, or we're selling to Montana, or we're selling to Maine, right? It doesn't matter. When you're on the internet, it's irrelevant where you're buying the product from. I don't even think people care anymore what state you're sending it from, right? But the issue is that, are you online and do you have your inventory online? You're not going to just sell, I'm selling 4 oil filters and 3 spark plugs. That doesn't work. You've got to sell your inventory, sell everything, right? The issue is they're not going to buy a cabin filter from you. They're going to buy the doohickey that they can't find anywhere that they think is going to fix their car. That's what we want to sell, are the items that are dealer only sold. And you have to be in business to have that. And if you have a great name for your name. So the Nilo company's been around for 104 years. This is not a dealership that started yesterday. So we have a great story to tell, right? And we can talk about that when we have it. When they go online and look at the pricing, a lot of times they go to what? The cheapest place. But you know what? Reputation, honor, right? The way that we do business is what people really want. They might pay an extra $1. Not saying they're going to pay too much more, but if they know that your Yelp ratings and your Google ratings are one of the highest in the country, that is who they're going to choose.
Well, and Tully, we've heard from a lot of dealers that have said, I don't want to get into e-commerce because it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to see who can make less money, who can sell the parts for cheaper. But I know that for me as a consumer, if I look online and your price is way lower than everybody else's, I'm suspicious.
It is. I mean, I think that, we're not here to compete with Amazon, right? And, Amazon's got a great product for, buying stuff. We all buy from Amazon. But the issue is that when you're talking about auto parts and you're talking about OEM products, right? The issue is that they are set pricing throughout the United States. Now, are you selling parts at no markup? Okay, there might be a guy out there that's going to do it, but that's not going to be everybody. And 2 is he's probably going to have a bad reputation because he's overcharging you for freight. And then there's probably a handling charge. And then there's like the daylight charge. And next, it's a 4-tire charge. Well, what the hell is all that about? The goal is that we're selling the part. The freight is just whatever the calculation is. And by God, that's it. And here's the race to the bottom line. That's what people say about wholesale as well, right? And wholesale online is a big deal, right? I mean, when you look at Revolutionary Parts, the wholesale piece is a good part of it, where you're not just selling to your market. You can sell across the United States if your brand, your inventory has these products. And we always talk about, back to the rule of numbers, why do we sell wholesale? Because the manufacturer has bonuses for us to sell volume. It's like when we sell windshields. Do we mark windshields up? God, no. Yeah, he can. But the goal is that we're selling products. We're selling stuff from the factory, which makes the factory happy, which gives us bonuses for our store that makes our store better in our area. So then we can offer more things to our customers. And to me, that's the win. Not being in this business, you don't want to do it yourself. You want to make it easy. And the nice thing about Revolutionary Parts, they make it stupid easy. That's the best part, right? It doesn't take long to get your inventory up online and then help train. And then, oh my God, we have to market. You're already doing that now, right? And they help you with that issue about where do you want to target? Where's areas that you think you might work on, right? So we have luxury brands that we're targeting: BMW, customers, Land Rover, Jaguars, Porsches, those things like that. They're going to help us target for those things. You just putting it online and saying, I'm open for business, ain't gonna work.
hmm So, Tully, people are concerned tariffs are going to drive those car prices up, which is, might affect car sales, of course. Do you think it's important that dealers focus on strengthening their fixed ops revenue streams right now?
100%. They should be thinking of that a long time ago. But yes, I mean, when you look at the tariffs on cars, our car value already went up. So we have cars that are going to be 25% more than the other cars, right? We already have that. Two is that the issue is going to be is that people need cars. COVID was a great example of that. We didn't have any cars. People paid an enormous amount of money over the list price because they needed a car. Now, our goal is going to be is that this is going to be pretty cut and dry. The tariff is blank. I'm sorry, but this is what we have to charge you. We're not going to get into a political conversation at that very moment, right? Our goal is it is what it is. But when you think about the revenue stream of the fixed ops department, what is that? That is your repeat and referral business. If you're in the car sales business and not the repeat and referral business, you're crazy. The issue is that your service department is driving, or I call your fixed ops department. Your fixed ops department is driving repeat and referral. And what happens when you have that repeat referral? People know they come into the service department. They're coming, hopefully every year they're going to come in for their service. If there's a warranty item or something that breaks, God bless America. But then the next thing we want them to do is do what? Tell their friends and family about it. Next is that if they need something like, oh, I saw Nilo online and I had a great reputation for my car being serviced, the next thing you know, you have online parts sales as well. The whole thing about fixed ops is we're trying to drive that repeat and referral business. We're trying to keep the store growing. Now when we have hiccups in the front, the variable side, the car sales side, the fixed ops becomes the true championship. And that's what happens in a recession. That's what happens when there's a shortage of cars. It actually happens every time. Most great run dealerships realize this, and they're always focused on making sure they have a strong, strengthened fixed ops department. And when you look at what you're chasing in fixed ops, yes, repeat referral business, but here's what it's all about. CSI, which stands for Customer Supplies Income. And what is your retention number? It is amazing how low retention number is. Our average retention for the Nilo company of all 10 stores is 69%, right? We have 3 stores over 70, which I'm so proud of. And we have most of our stores in the mid to high 60s. That's when you're truly having repeat referral business and keep people in the family.
Man, that is all excellent information. So I just want to summarize and make sure that I got all of the most important things. So tariffs are coming. They're happening. They're raising car prices. We're really concerned industry-wide. We're really concerned industry-wide that it's going to make new car sales go down. And so dealerships have to find other ways to make money. So you're saying the best way that they can make sure they're making money, diversify their portfolio, make sure that they are everywhere that they can possibly be. So they're making income from as many channels as possible. Online part sales, their parts department, providing really great customer service so people want to come back over and over and over again, and getting that referral business, because that referral business is what's going to get them over that hump as we survive these tariffs.
100%. Repeat referral business is the business that we're in. You should be in the business in the first place. So yes, when sales goes down, used cars is going to go up. What is used cars good for? Parts department. Right? We're driving those sales up, right? So, and also when you're selling off-make models, what happens when you sell off-make models? Some of the repair you can do at your store, but then what? You talk to them about your online presence, and we can sell them parts offline. So there's so many things that tie into that. Is a big thing. Your goal is that you have to make sure your store from your dealer down is all bought in. A lot of times what happens is the dealer is not bought in, or the general manager is just a glorified sales manager. That doesn't work. Yeah, we have to be one team. And that's the great thing about the Nilo company, that we believe that we are a team. We have core values that we talk about, and we are a team is the number one, and we embrace change as number 2. And guess what? That's what we're talking about today.
I heard it said many years ago, and it's something that stuck with me. And you just reminded me of this. A general manager should not be a general manager. A general manager should not be a sales manager. A general manager should be a profit manager, because they shouldn't care where that profit comes from, as long as that profit's coming in.
Yeah, I love that, but it doesn't always happen that way.
It does not always happen that way. So this is talking to you, general managers. I know this is the parts podcast, but if we got some general managers out there, don't be a general manager, be a profit manager. It don't matter where that profit's coming from as long as that profit's coming in.
You know, when you look at a parts department, it's so critical like that. We call it the FixedOps. I hate when it's parts and service managers. You know, we pay our parts and service managers on the same pot. There is no thing, because next thing you know, they're talking about freight, they're talking about all this baloney. We don't deal with that. Our goal is that we sell hours, and our goal is that we can't sell hours without parts. And guess what? We can't have parts if we don't have a clean inventory. And if we have a good inventory that's turning constantly and we have no aging, guess what happens? We have a great parts department, and then what? We sell more hours. God bless America. So the goal is parts department is such a key issue. And a lot of times they get no glory at all. They're back behind the window. Well, you know what? We have our back counter people roving the shop, actually looking at parts in our service drives, in our service departments where the technicians are. We want them to be part of the process to drive that volume. That's what it's all about.
So you're selling parts in the parts department, you're selling parts in the service department, you're selling parts online, you're selling parts over the phone. Y'all are covering parts in every area you can possibly sell them.
Correct. And here's the deal. Make your parts people champions, right? A lot of times, I understand they're quiet, nod in the back, but the goal is get them out, get them in the shop. Help the technicians. Technicians can be so much more efficient when your parts department is all bought in, right? So in our stores, we have a lot of stores that the back counter is not the back counter. The back counter is in the shop itself. They have roving carts that go around and they look up parts at the cars, which make the technicians happy. And guess what? They're part of the team. We're all together and we make it a better environment.
Listen, that has been a ton of awesome information. I'm going to end part 1 of this podcast right there. And I want everybody who's listening to come back for part 2. We're going to post them at the same time so you can go from one to the other. If you've run out of time and you're like, well, my commute's over, I can't listen to part 2 right now, come back, listen to part 2. Because in part 2, we're going to get really deep into these tariffs and how price-sensitive parts shoppers need to be catered to over the coming months.